Hello and welcome back to football. Bloody hell.
Rory
Bloody
out.
hell. Bloody hell.
He's got his
The
taco
sponsors
stuck in
again.
his throat.
I've got a bit tackle. How do you pronounce it again, Matt?
Oaxaca.
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 Oaxaca taco for anybody who's watching.
Or Waka Taco. It's some weird fucking fairground thing, isn't it? Waka Taco.
I don't know. It'd be a pretty quick. I mean, my mind went straight to like the double entendre.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine where your mind went. So-
To be to be fair, I think they did on purpose. I'm just going to go over the Oaxaca taco. This is the cod. I don't know. For anybody who's just listening to the pod, it's battered fish in a like a white plain tortilla with a bit of sauce on, but it looks mint.
It does look nice.
I'm not really doing it justice. I'm not doing it justice. I'm not really. Let's be honest. Got an array of salsas, some sweet potato, and I'm really enjoying myself tonight. We're in full swing.
Indeed.
Thanks for the and just to tip my cap back to you. Thanks for the 20 minutes
Therapy session.
therapy session. I'll accept the bill whenever you send it or you choose to do it. Or we just keep the pod going. We just start chilling on it really because we're going to need more therapy sessions, I think, in the future.
I think we both are,
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah. So speaking of which, I just wanted to dedicate some time back to you post my therapy session, like we said. But you had a bit of a big game
Yeah.
at the weekend as well, and unfortunately, it didn't go your way, did it?
No. And I think it was a bit... If anyone did watch it, I mean, you probably watched... You should have done something else, but like... But it was, I have to... I listened to it, and it was probably one of the biggest cures for insomnia, I think, that game. But yeah, it was one of the dullest games like I think I've ever listened to, because I listened to it. But I think what made me slightly excited was in the first 25 minutes we just battered them.
Yeah.
But we didn't score. And then you think, right then, now we're going to lose 1-0. And you knew that was coming. And I think, yeah, it's one of those things, really. I think it's one of those games that's always low scoring. It's always a bit shit. And Sheffield United always seem to win. So,
The thing I like is like I say objectively, it's been a long time since like I would probably say since the Premier League, and I'm talking like 90s Premier League, maybe like not even 2000s really, but like early 90s, since Sheffield United and Wednesday have been kind of like a level kind of playing field, I would say. Like even then, like I would always link more. Like I know you had your Brian Deans and Dean Saunders and stuff at Sheffield United, but like I always think of Sheffield Wednesday at that period of time as like I wouldn't say a bigger club, like with the more like standard names, Carboni and stuff. Like
yeah, I think
you had
if you
big
can,
names in that era.
when we were promoted to the first division in what was it, 1990, and then we got to League Cup final, didn't we? And then we finished third in the Division 1, top 6 in the Premier League. And then that sort of early 90s to sort of maybe mid-late 90s, we were probably the bigger team in Sheffield. And then
Yeah.
it went to shit and we got relegated. And then it sort of switched a little bit. And then for the last 25 years, they've had stints in the Premier League, whereas we've just been probably a mid to lower table championship side with stints in League One.
But like if you think of like the trajectories of the club, of the clubs, I should say, like you've always kind of crossed each other. You've never kind of landed in a similar situation. Like I know Sheffield now, like have got a bit of money behind them,
It's that
with their
Premier League
ownership
money,
and
innit?
stuff. They've got parachute payments as well. But like if you think about it, like it was only like 5, 6 years ago. Well, maybe a little bit more. where Sheffield were in League One, you were still in the Championship, and then obviously reverted positions.
Yeah.
They went into the Prem. You've just come back up. So I feel like this season is close to you've been in a long time, because I know you've had a bit of a choppy bit of form in the past 5, 6 games, but like I would say you're more consistent. The only thing Sheffield Wednesday need is a striker, because I've watched you dominate Burnley, I've seen you hand Preston in terms of like games that I've just watched, and you just haven't scored. Like I still look back to that game, and you lost 4-0 to Burnley, and I've got absolutely no idea how that was the end result. I watched that game from the first minute to the last minute, and came away from that thinking, how the fuck? But like any neutral just looks at that score and goes, "Yep."
Let's put it this. Yeah, I think I agree with the striker thing, because like if you like I said, in that first 20-25 minutes of the game on Sunday, if we had a striker or one that's consistently putting away goals, or just in the right place at the right time all the time, you know what I mean? One of those ones that just is there, just tap it in or whatever. Like, not spectacular, but like scores goals off his arse, this sort of thing. Like, if we had one of them, we would have been 2-0 up after 25 minutes, and then realistically, we're not too bad. Those games are generally low scoring, and that probably wouldn't have ended the way it ended. But I mean, yeah, we've been showing a bit of promise, I think, in the last couple of weeks. Like that comeback win against Norwich was quite exciting. But it seems like when we get to the point where we're on the point, we're only 3 points or only 2 points away from the playoffs, we lose like 2 games in a row and then just sort of go back down. But then everyone around us is sort of losing as well. So it's still quite close. Well, I think we're only, 4 points behind?
I think so. Last time I checked, yeah.
In 12th, which is mental how close the league is. Like, we got Cardiff next, so I'm hoping close that gap again. Cardiff, Hull, Blackburn, then Oxford. So I think Stoke, Middlesbrough. I mean, to be fair, our run-in towards the end of the season is actually quite nice. I think Blackburn's probably the best team that we're playing out of that lot.
I think it's
Borough,
Blackburn.
maybe.
Well, Blackburn's obviously got Ishmael now after the whole kind of departure, debacle of what's he's called. I always get him not Rowett. It's what's his name? I always get him mixed up with Ian Evatt, even though they look nothing alike. What's his name?
I know.
I can see him. I just can't remember his
name.
John
Eustace.
Yes, Eustace.
Just gone to Derby, hasn't he? Derby manager.
He was at Derby. He was at Derby as a former player and stuff. He had a couple of bad results, and they've won 3 on the bounce. And Blackburn are purely
dropping.
Dropping now. They're in 3-4, but like I say, they've got the old Watford manager, old Fulham manager, who might be able to turn it around. So I'd probably say Blackburn is a one where you could probably think you could get 3 points, but I look at the table though. Sorry, I look at the table now and I think there's 3 teams for 2 positions automatically, which is obviously Sheffield, Leeds, and Burnley, which is no surprise to anybody. And then I think we're 5 points behind, maybe more now. So the result game Coventry, I think it'd be 7. But then between us and 5th, there was like 12 or 10 points.
10 points now, yeah.
10 points.
I think it's basically nailed on you're finishing 4th.
Yeah, and we're going to end up playing either Coventry or West Brom, or Coventry or Borough. It'll be, and we'll lose both ties, and it'll just be a shit end to.
Yeah, we're 6 points.
What was a nice start of the season.
We're 6 points off the playoffs now, but in our last 8 matches, 5 of those are in the bottom half. 5 of those teams are in the bottom half, and then the other ones are around us. So Watford, Blackburn, and Middlesbrough. So we've played everyone who's half decent already. So yeah.
The only thing is, this period of the season, though, like it's such a volatile time because we're coming into the last 10 games, and then everybody's either fighting for their life or fighting for the playoffs this season, because I think like anywhere down to like almost 14th, you can maybe sneak into the playoffs with a couple of good results.
Yeah.
Like, it's just madness. But where I kind of wanted to ask you was, like, what was your expectations going into the Sheffield game, and like, what's your thoughts afterwards? Is there like any kind of like, oh, we're sick, or is it just a kind of like what I was saying in the difference between Sunderland and Newcastle in the previous episode, where it's just like acceptance, like, yards ahead of us, like, can't really.
Well, yeah, like with the game earlier in the season against them, I sort of expected to lose anyway. I think the fact that they're fighting for the top of the table, they've just been relegated from the Premier League, they got parachute payments, they've arguably got more money than us and a better squad. And then you think, like, losing 1-0 isn't that bad. It was a little bit annoying Sunday because of how we started the game and how we actually were playing in that first 25, 30 minutes or whatever. But then as it got more boring, you thought, wow, they're probably just going to win this 1-0. Like, it's the way it is sometimes. And like, I'm not really bothered by it. Like, those games against you lot, Burnley, Sunderland, Sheffield United and Leeds, I sort of like write off and think, there's no real point. Like, I'm not bothered if we lose those games. But when we lose to teams that are around us, like
your Bristols and stuff,
like
and
Bristol City
although
and things like this, so losing to, like, not necessarily Coventry because they were on a bit of a run, but if we lose to, like, someone like Bristol City, or if we drop points against someone like Cardiff or something, I'm going to be a bit annoyed
Watford.
then. Like Watford as well. Watford last day of the season, so hopefully we've got something to play for. But to be honest, I'm happy that the first time in years that we're not involved in a relegation battle, a playoff push, or a promotion thing, like directly involved. But like, I mean, we could get in if we snuck in the playoffs. Would I be heartbroken if we didn't get up? Not really. Like, but
imagine if you did, like, you snuck in and won it. Like,
well, that's usually what happens, isn't it? Like, the one team that sneaks in at the last minute with some momentum, which is probably Coventry at this point in time. They're the team, or even Bristol City, they're the team that usually go up. The ones that have been there all year, you know that whoever finishes third out of Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley is probably not going to go up in the playoffs, are they?
No. I just can't see Burnley going up.
I love the fact that they've only conceded 11 goals this season. That is insanely incredible. Was it 27 clean sheets in 38 matches? And they're third. You think, what the fuck?
We missed two penalties against them as well.
Here's to put it in some context. Sheffield Wednesday have scored more goals than Burnley this season, and we don't have a striker.
It's so mad. Like, it's such a weird season. Like,
but we've conceded more than Derby, who are third from bottom.
Jesus, Dweck. Well, that's what I was going to ask you as well. I forgot. Like, what do you think of Isaiah Sheffield Wednesday? He scored like he's 7 goals now, but he scored like, I think he'd scored 5 goals in all season. Bearing in mind he's been like in and out the team a little bit, he scored 5 goals all season and 4 of them against Sheffield Wednesday. Sign him up.
That's usually what we do, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if Chansiri was watching that and he's getting his number.
What a player.
What a player. Sign him next season. Doesn't score a goal all season. Typical.
Well, to be fair, Ugbo seems to have gone right off the boil, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he's got 1 goal in 35 appearances. I mean, maybe we should have just not fallen in love with a lone player.
Who's your... That's a question. We're coming at the nearing the end of the episode. I know we've still got a little bit of time, but
yeah, you got about 5 minutes.
Who's your favourite ever that you didn't end up signing?
Oh, I missed you there, mate.
Oh, sorry. These hotels, these crap Wi-Fi. I'm in London, for God's sake. You'd think I'd have good Wi-Fi. I was going to say, who's your favourite ever loan player that you've not signed, that you fell in love with?
Oh,
I've got too many. as a Sunderland
You
fan.
got too many loan players that you're not signed.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, yeah.
I'm
I mean,
one.
there's one recent heartbreak, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, it's a tough one to be honest because we have so many players on fucking loan, and most of them are dog shit. So, like,
So, list a bit smaller.
I mean, out of the ones from this season, I think if we're probably not going to sign James Beadle, the goalkeeper, but I'd love it if we did. And Shea Charles as well, like from Southampton. I'm pretty sure he's just going to go back there and then walk around in the Championship next season playing for Southampton. But yeah,
Haven't they done that out for the last couple of seasons, haven't they? Didn't they? Smallbone. Where was
yeah,
Smallbone? Where was he? He was really good, and then he just went to Southampton, and then same with the winger they had as well. I can't remember. It's good to slip my mind.
I
But
can name plenty of shite ones.
what the biggest love of my life, that the one that got away is it's split. It's well, the one that got away is Jan Villa. He was just
Oh yeah,
an unbelievable midfielder. And instead of signing him and Sam Allardyce when left to obviously take the England job, which we all know how that ended, and David Moyes come in, Sam Allardyce said to Moyes, like, there's a couple of players that we've got that you need to sign, and he said he's one of them, Jan Villa. And obviously Moyes, being the way he is, was like, no, 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 no. And he signed Didier Ndong for a club record fee of 13 million, and he was an absolute fucking donkey. And Jan Villa was literally, it was cans for Jan. Like, we were all like waiting for him to sign, and like cans for Jan, we're drinking for Villa. He flew himself over, flew to London, and we were like, nah, we're not going to sign you. And he was like, okay. So that heartbreak, and then obviously learned his trade in Sunderland and is now flourishing before injury, is Amad Diallo, the
yeah.
greatest, one of the greatest players I've ever seen in the Sunderland shirt. Absolutely class. Like, I'm lost for words, man. So tell us some shite ones. Who's if you can't think of the ones you've loved, who's the ones that you've thought, who is this donkey?
Oh, 90% of them. Some of the most disappointing ones are like when we signed Jordan Rhodes on loan. We've signed him on loan twice, and like I was thinking, oh yes, Jordan Rhodes, because the Jordan Rhodes, he was always that Championship goal scorer, weren't he? Comes to Wednesday and he's fucking shit, and then we buy him anyway. But, so, like, but
Oh man.
But no, there's plenty. Like I think we've probably signed half of like Ligue 2 in France at some point and on loan.
We've had some shit in our time as well.
It's
like
it's the thing. Like
oh,
here's one that we signed on loan. He's probably the worst player to play for us, and I don't think he was only on loan for us for 6 months. We signed him on loan from Reading. He came with a pedigree, but he was rubbish. Royston Drenthe.
oh no way! Did he play for Sheffield?
Yeah, for 6 months. And he was dog shit.
Yeah, he was like obviously he was a Football Manager legend, or Championship manager, I should say.
The
But,
same
like,
Royston Drenthe who played 46 times for Real Madrid. Signed for Wednesday on loan from Reading. Scored one
Reading,
goal and
was it?
played 15 matches. He was awful. Like, awful.
Yeah. So I wonder what his trajectory was like from. It was obviously from Everton, because Everton had him as well, didn't they?
Yeah, he went around the houses a little bit. But he had so much promise, didn't he? And I'm not sure what really happened, to be fair.
He died in Sheffield, apparently.
Well, his career went downhill after he played for us, to be fair. So, like, even further downhill than it was going anyway. But yeah.
Jesus Christ! I didn't realise he played for Sheffield. I knew he'd been a bit of a journeyman towards the latter, because did he go to Russia as well and stuff?
Yeah, he went all over. He went all over the place. Like There's a thing is though
It makes you.
we've had a few loanees that are like quite like renowned. Like we've had Emmy Martinez on loan before
Hmm.
as well. Who else? What's it? Oh, I can't remember now off the top of my head. But yeah, you get them on loan and then they don't really impress, and then they end up being decent. You think?
Uh,
But yeah,
like there was a period like Sam Allardyce signed him, I think. Oivonen. I'd never heard of this guy, and I watched him play, and I was like, "What the fuck is he? Like, how is he a professional footballer? Like, he was slow, he wasn't fit, he couldn't. Like, he wasn't a striker, but he wasn't a holding midfield. He was get tall. He had long blonde hair, and I was just like, what is this guy? Like, who watched him and thought he's gonna do a job? This is in the Premier League as well, by the way. Like, this isn't
yeah.
like League One kind of crap. This is like Premier League football, and we were like, is this the pool of player that we're like having to deal with now? He was, oh my God. Oh, another good loan player who had the worst debut I think I've ever seen against Spurs is Kirchhoff, Jan Kirchhoff. We got him on loan from Bayern Munich, and he was made of glass. He like he'd like I think in one of the things we had with Kirchhoff, right?
I love that.
He,
I love that phrase. But
he's made of glass.
yeah,
He, yeah. Pre-season, I'm pretty sure. Like I think we loaned him, or we might have signed him. Like loaned him, then signed him. I can't remember. We might have just signed him outright. But his debut, we played him. I think we played centre back, and he's tall, kicked angry, really slow, really clumsy, and he clattered somebody and gave away a pen. Was just so out of touch, out of pace with the game. We were like, "What the fuck is this guy? Who is this guy from Bayern Munich?" You're thinking, "Oh God!" But then Masterstroke pushed him into like holding midfielder, and my God, the guy was just luxury. Like he was one of them players where he passed it just. He was one of them players where it's like the think man kept everything going, just like little. He'd slide and tackle. He'd tackle a pass, like he'd manage to slide in, pass a ball. Like he was so good, but then he'd do about 60 minutes and have to come off, or he'd play 90 and then be out for 2 weeks. Like
yeah.
we've had loads of players like that. We had another centre half called John Mensah. Arguably, I'd say he's probably one of the best centre halves we've had. But he had like a weird back injury, which like impacted his groins and his hamstrings and stuff. So again, you'd play him, he'd be unbelievable, and then he'd just capitulate and just be, like broken after like 60 minutes. And you're like, what a 60 minutes though. Oh God.
Here's one player actually that we had on loan that I mean, it would have been nice to actually sign him, but he only ever he played on loan for us for 3 times, but like never
Who's that?
signed. Connor Wickham.
Oh, not Connor Wickham.
We got him on loan from you lot.
Is that where he came from?
Yeah,
Was he
yeah.
on loan from us?
Yeah, and he scored 8 goals in 11 matches.
Well, to be fair, he did keep us up in the Premier League that time.
And like,
Well,
and then you recalled him and sent him on loan to Leeds. It's like, yeah, no, you're not having the good of him. Like, fuck's sake. Thing is, though, we've had some
yeah,
weird ones on loan. We've had Ross Barkley, we've had Emmy Martinez, John Bostock. You remember that? He played
I
a couple
remember
of matches for us.
you had Barkley, did you?
Yeah, Ross Barkley.
He must have been young.
Yeah, it's 2012, so how old would he have been then? So,
He's one of them players that he's just
19.
been around forever, hasn't
yeah.
he? He's been around forever, and he looks like he's been about 40 years old, like his entire
Forever.
life.
Yeah.
Like him and Rooney, just 40-year-old the whole time. But I think we're just like, well, as you said, like you indulged me in my therapy session. I think I'm always going to overstep and dominate the conversation. Unfortunately, I can't help myself, but it's good. Like, I mean, it's never nice to lose a derby, but like when the odds are so stacked against you, I think you're right. Probably 1-0.
It's not the end of the world.
Take
Let's
it.
put it this way, like if they were in and around us, I think it would have felt much more iffy. If they were like 10th and we were 2 points behind them and we're both pushing for the playoff places, then I wouldn't have been happy. But because of where they are and like the situation and the environment and whatever, and they can fuck off to the Premier League and come last again, as far as I'm aware. So it's like, I'll be quite happy they did that.
Last question I'll ask you, just before we finish. That was just, sorry. The last question I'll ask you before we finish, and sorry if my connections, if anybody's listening for putting up with my connection, I apologise. But the last question I'll say is, given the gap I experience between Sunderland and Newcastle, and the gap between currently Sheffield, Wednesday and United, do you think you'll ever get to a point where you'll be on an even playing field again, or do you just think they're always going to have a little bit of an advantage over you?
I think if we got promoted for one season, went into the Premier League, got the parachute payments, came back down again, I think then we'll probably be close to them. You know what I mean? I think that's all it takes to get to that level of like a Leeds, Burnley, you know, that sort of level is one year in the Premier League to sort of get that. And I think we got a big enough club and fan base anyway to take us to stay at that sort of level and not just drop off like fucking Luton. But like it's but
sorry, I know it was like I said it was the last question. I suppose like last closing statement there rather than a question. Isn't it really sad that it's now part of the English game where teams like Sunderland, like I'm going to exclude the top three currently because they've up and down, up and down, up and down. Isn't it sad that it's just expected that promotion is like it's transactional now? So like you go up to come down.
Yeah,
Ipswich have got up to come down.
I think it's sad. I mean, it's only happened in the last 2 years where I think it'd be the last 2 seasons where all three have gone up, have been relegated. But before that, it hadn't been, has it? So I think it was a lot closer than it was. Where like, if like Forest did it, for instance, like I expect if Leeds go up this year, which they should, I think they stand probably a chance of staying up next season. Like, I think that's the sort of size that you sort of need. They've done it a few times and then they sort of cement, if that makes sense. And then it'll be someone else who comes crashing to earth, probably Wolves. But like, or Spurs. It could be Spurs. Man United. Anyone?
If you look at it though, like, and I suppose we could talk about this in another episode, but if you look at the teams that are potentially going to go up, right? If you exclude Sheffield and Leeds because they've been in the Premier League, they've come back down, likely going to get promoted again. I would probably say Ipswich are a big club because of obviously the history, European trophies, that kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. Like modern day, they haven't really won anything. But like, if you look at Southampton, Ipswich, and why is their name escaping us?
Leicester.
Help us, Matt. Leicester. Obviously, Premier League, they're probably the biggest club that'll come back down into the Championship. And just think, like, Leeds and Sheffield, they're probably the two I would go with who are going to get promoted. They've got a chance of staying up, right? But the third team that goes up, realistically, and I include Sunderland in this, and potentially Burnley, because of the way they play, they'll definitely keep Scott Parker. And then you've got between Sunderland, Burnley, Bristol, Coventry, West Brom, Borough, and one of maybe a couple of clubs like yourselves. If any of those 5 or 6 clubs go up, they're going to come back down. Like, and I include Sunderland in that because the reality is, our team got promoted, it'd be mint, and yes, you have a bit of money and you could buy a little bit of a better player. The reality is, it went straight down. Like, it's just.
I think what you have to look at as well is, so the teams that are currently in the Premier League that aren't in the relegation zone. So we'll exclude the 3 that went up and the 3 that are going to come back down. most of the ones that are in that bottom half, if they were relegated and kept their squad and their structure and things like this, they would probably walk the championship, wouldn't they?
100%.
Maybe Wolves, maybe not, because, but they would still be up in the top six. You would expect them to be. But the rest of them, West Ham, Everton, Spurs, Man United, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Bournemouth, you would expect them to just walk the championship if they got relegated, wouldn't you? And I think that's where the issue is there, because like their squads are better, much better, whereas before it used to be you'd have 17th to 14th maybe in the Premier League were probably decent championship sides with a sprinkling of Premier League class in there, right?
Yeah, big quality.
Whereas now, actually, because of the amount of money in the Premier League, there's much more quality in all the teams, even like 17th, 16th. And that's why you're seeing teams like Man United struggle and Spurs struggle and like even Man City being 5th and things like this and Forest being in top 3. The reason you're seeing all that is because the money is leveling the playing field for the ones who stay. But the ones who don't stay don't get that level. They're struggling to catch up, I think. And that's where you see it. There's probably, if the 3 that go up, you've got a chance of staying up, but only one of you has a chance of staying up. The other 2 are probably going to come back down. One of you stays up, and it's probably going to be at the expense of Wolves, unless someone has an absolute shocker of a fucking season. Like you know what I mean? Like that's the reality of it, really, at the moment, isn't it? When you look at the quality of those squads, and even people say like Brentford and this, but Brentford have never, since they've been in the Premier League, they've never really been in trouble, have they? And then you see, like
they've had a spell. They might have had a spell, but they're never like.
But their quality though is just something else. Like, and you see like with Brighton and things like this, and like money has changed those clubs into something that they historically haven't been. But I mean, fair play to them if you're one of those fans. Would you? Here's a question then before we close out for this one. It's a little bit longer this one, but would you take being promoted, relegated, then promoted again, having a bit of a cup run and like enjoying yourself, experiencing playing different teams, or be happy as a Crystal Palace finishing 12th in the Premier League every single season and playing the same teams every year and not winning anything? Never having a chance of Europe.
Would personally take the first option.
Yeah.
Which is, and it's easy to say because we're not in the Prem, but I'm sure Palace fans are like, maybe next year is the cup run, maybe next year.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, and then does it get boring? Are half of those Palace fans suddenly becoming like Wimbledon fans or something like that? I don't know, but like not really. They probably won't. They probably won't. But like, I think half the Man United fans are starting to become Wimbledon fans. That's where they all live, isn't it? But like,
I think so. Well, look, mate. On that note, I think we've talked through. To be fair, I think you haven't got a lot of pain like me at the minute, and I think you've handled the derby with dignity. But thanks again for spending some time and me trying to give you a therapy session in the part 2.
Indeed.
And just again, you helping me through my woes of being a Sunderland fan and the depths of despair of potentially promotion to get again.
Exactly. I have to say, like, if you did get promoted, it would be lovely, but you would be livid for the entirety of next season.
I know. It'd be awful, wouldn't it? Well, I tell you what, the next episode, why don't we kind of hit out what a ideal season would be if we were either of us were to get promoted?
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Let's do
that.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody
for watching, everyone.
And watching.
Oh, watching and listening.
Watching and listening.